friends, once again, a huge welcome to our second launch of New Glenn, a historic day for us here at Blue Origin, and a moment that we've been building towards for months, a moment to finally land our New Glenn booster to carry NASA's Escapade spacecrafts toward Mars. Now, once again, I'm Tabitha Lipkin. Joining me here in Cape Canaveral, Florida, is Ariane Cornell, New Glenn's Vice President of Strategy and Business Operations, the legend herself. Ariane, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tabitha, and thank you to everybody that's watching. I've been here at Blue Origin more than 10 years, 11 years, and counting here, and it's just fantastic to be here. I've been waiting a long time for this day, and our launch window is opening up here. We've got about 42 minutes to go until launch, but we have about an hour and a half for this launch window to get this launch off.
That's right, a little hour and a half to play with. Now, right now, you are seeing a live view of New Glenn out on the pad at Launch Complex 36. Now, what's interesting is right now, we are in the green zone, but we are tracking weather for launch at this moment in time. The first and second stage, by the way, are also both fueled. A lot happening. The pad is clear of all personnel. Our launch operations team is on console in Rocket Park. And our red team, Ariane?
Our red team, that is, to be very clear, that's the team that has the task of fixing any emergent issues that might arise on the rocket during the lead up to launch process. They're located a little closer to the pad itself. They're in Hangar S on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station there.
But let's talk a little bit about Launch Complex 36 for a moment. It's a historic location, 9 miles right from where we are sitting, Ariane.
Absolutely. We've said this before, we at Blue Origin, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, the scientists and engineers that have come before us in the space industry. And that includes those that helped launch 140 Atlas II and III launches that took place from LC-36. That include the Mariner, Pioneer, and Surveyor missions. And those missions sent spacecraft to explore Jupiter, Saturn, Venus, Mercury, and the surface of the moon.
Now, given that incredible history, how awesome is it that our second New Glenn mission is an interplanetary mission to Mars?
It is. So today's mission is called Escapade. It's a dual spacecraft mission. They're twin satellites. And eventually those two satellites are headed all the way to Mars, and they're going to investigate how the planet's weather changes over time.
Yeah, it's just so incredible, and we are so grateful for NASA for entrusting us with their payload today. They have been just amazing partners all the way through.
Absolutely. Tabitha, I know you played sports growing up, so did I. I say it all the time. Teamwork is awesome for sports. That's how we think about it. But when it comes to rockets and launching things into space, it is teamwork all the way. And for us, it's crossed the organizations. It's been so motivating for our Blue Origin team to be able to collaborate on such a cool payload with NASA. But that's the lead up, and the main event is still to come. That's been all the preparations, and it's only 39 minutes and 40 seconds to go until launch here.
Unbelievable. Yes, teamwork makes the dream work, and we are continuing to take our steps towards our long-term vision of building a road to space for the benefit of Earth. We've got a lot, and I mean a lot, in store for you today. We're going to hear from a few special guests and get a behind-the-scenes look as our flight crew prepares New Glenn for liftoff.
So, for our viewers at home, with NG-1, our first launch, that was back in January, our goal was to get into orbit, which we did.
Yep.
First time we'd ever launched this rocket. Everything else in that case was a bonus. But for NG-2, no. We've got two goals. Our first, and most importantly, is to deploy the payload, our customers, on the right trajectory to make sure it heads to Mars. The second is to land the booster, to land the first stage of New Glenn. That said, if we don't land the booster, that's okay. We have several more vehicles that are already going through production here behind us, which has been really fun. Literally, Tabitha, in just the last 4 days that we've been here, I've seen major changes on the various parts of the stages. So exciting news.
Yeah, our factory floor is looking good. But right now, we want to take a moment to learn a little bit more about Escapade and how it will help scientists learn more about the atmosphere on Mars. Our friends over at NASA put together an awesome explainer on the importance of Escapade. Check it out.
Mars, once a warm, watery world with a thick atmosphere. Now, a cold, arid landscape with its atmosphere thinned out. What caused this transformation? And how could this environment affect future Mars explorers? NASA's new Escapade mission aims to find out. The Escape and Plasma Acceleration and Dynamics Explorers mission will help us understand Mars's climate history using 2 spacecraft in orbit for the first time.
Escapade gives us what you might call a stereo perspective, 2 different vantage points simultaneously. This will allow us to really make measurements we've never made before.
The mission is studying the planet's real-time response to the solar wind, a relentless flow of particles from the sun that have stripped away the Martian atmosphere. Escapade's twin spacecraft fly in 2 different formations to see how Mars responds to the solar wind in both time and space. The first formation allows Escapade to observe rapid changes in the Martian atmosphere caused by sudden variations in the solar wind.
When we have 2 spacecraft crossing those regions in quick succession, we can monitor how those regions vary on timescales as short as 2 minutes up to 30 minutes.
In the second formation, Escapade will study both the solar wind and the upper atmosphere of Mars simultaneously for the very first time.
We'll have 1 spacecraft in the solar wind so we can measure what's coming in, and then 1 spacecraft closer to Mars. This will help us understand the cause and effect of what's happening when space weather comes to Mars.
Escapade will also help us prepare to send human explorers to the Red Planet. For example, Escapade will give scientists more details about Mars's upper atmosphere that future astronauts will use to send radio and navigation signals around the planet. Escapade's work could also help keep future Mars explorers safe.
The atmospheres can provide a shield that protect humans and other assets on the surface from things like solar radiation or intergalactic radiation. So it's important for us to understand how the atmosphere is changing.
NASA's heliophysics fleet is looking at the sun's influence, and with Escapade, we'll now have multi-point measurements at Mars, which will help us have a more comprehensive picture of what's happening throughout the solar system.
Love hearing it from the scientists themselves. Again, they've invested so much time in developing this payload. They are, it's in some ways it's like their baby as well. So this is a huge day for them. Thank you again to NASA for entrusting Blue Origin with these 2 satellites today. Escapade really is going to teach us so much about the atmosphere on Mars. Hopefully we'll get to go there one day.
Yeah.
With this information, it's really, really important.
And that's the plan. That's the plan they have for it. We have some cool interviews, like with the principal investigator of Escapade coming up. But right now, we've got to bring in the 3rd member of our team. That's Eddie Seifert. Eddie, you are standing by. You are in a great spot for viewing the rocket launch. And you can see, of course, where we're sitting right behind you. Eddie, what's going on?
Yeah, thanks, Tabitha. Thanks, Ariane, for the very warm welcome. I'm sitting on top of the parking garage at Rocket Park, joined by our fellow employees that work in the building right behind me. That building is where we have the heartbeat of New Glenn. Over 3,800 employees show up every day to shape metal and build the rocket that we see out on the launch pad today. By the way, that rocket is just down the horizon. We've got a clear view of it today, and it's going to be a great, great spot to watch the launch today.
Eddie, I have to know, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling hyped is really the only word. Grateful to be here. And as I talk to our fellow employees here, we're just proud. We're proud of the work that they've done. We're proud that we can put our best foot forward today and that we're going to attempt something very ambitious today.
We certainly are. Eddie, thank you so much. We look forward to checking back in with you again throughout the webcast. We're going to keep an eye on that cloud that's lingering over you. We might have to get Eddie an umbrella.
Yeah.
Out there. All right, at L-minus 33 minutes, let's chat about New Glenn and what makes it such a special and unique vehicle, Ariane. Give us a sense, let's start out with the size, because it's got some incredible and important features.
Yeah, it's a very, very large rocket. For those that have followed our webcast before, we've had quite a few New Shepard webcasts. New Shepard is about 60 feet tall when you put the capsule on top of it. New Glenn is massive. It's 320 feet tall.
Wow.
So that's 5 times the height. It's just about over 100 meters, and it's even taller than the Statue of Liberty. So it's kind of like you take, the Statue of Liberty. You add another 50 feet on top of it, slap a couple of BE-4 engines, and that's basically what we're launching.
It's tall enough to base jump off of, although I don't have permission to do that just yet. You and I actually got to go out there and stand next to it. I mean, I felt like I was an ant.
I kind of wish we had some people out there so we could give you some perspective.
Oh, there we are.
There we are. I'm glad we got some video. No, but because it is just so large, unless it's good that you have you've got there for some perspective, but we're still a bit far away from it. But that's all to say that it is so large, and that's on purpose, obviously, right? We want to be able to put very large payloads on top of the rocket. It has this ability to take a lot of mass and a lot of large things from a dimensional perspective up into space. So what you see here is New Glenn is a two-stage rocket. For those of you that are not space nerds like us, basically a stage in a rocket is just a rocket. So when we say it's two stages, we've stacked one stage on top of the other. So stage 1, GS1, is the one on the bottom. It's fully reusable. We also call it the booster. The booster will lift off and push the second stage up. Once the two stages separate, the booster will make a flip, and then it will come back to land on Earth. And it's landing on a platform that is currently about 375 miles or so offshore to the east. Underway, it's the landing platform is called the Jacqueline.
There's a live look,
There she is, beautiful.
Looks nice out there.
It's beautiful, but Tabitha, it's missing something.
It certainly is missing something.
Wouldn't that look nicer with a landed booster on top of it?
I think it would.
Just saying. But that's the rocket at the core of the rocket. Let's talk about the heart of the rocket.
This is my favorite thing to talk about, and that is the engines. Now, in my mind originally, I always thought you built the rocket and then you slap an engine on it. Oh, no.
No.
You build a rocket around the engines.
Yeah. You basically start with, like, how much mass do I want to take to orbit? Therefore, how much power do I need? And that's when you focus on the engines. And then you build the rest of the rocket around it. So the first stage, the first rocket, again, two-stage rockets, like stacking two rockets. The first stage is powered by 7 BE-4 engines. Blue engine 4. Of course, it's because we built a sequence of these. We've built in-house capabilities to design and build rocket engines. And we build the engines down in our Huntsville, Alabama factory, and each one of these things is massive. It generates 550,000 pounds of thrust. And to, again, give our space nerds, our Blue Origin groupies at home some perspective, New Shepard has 110,000 pounds of thrust at liftoff. Each of those engines has 550,000. Wait, hold on a second. Time out.
Oh, wait, we got a shot of the beach there. People enjoying the beach and ready to watch launch.
Do you think these people know what's about to happen? Like, that they're like, is this an earthquake? No. There's a rocket in the distance.
Yeah, they're like, oh, what is that? So anyway, we have 7 BE-4 engines.
So we got 7 BE-4 engines. So each one of those engines, 550,000 pounds of thrust, 5 times what New Shepard has, and then we multiply that by 7. At the base, you see a live, beautiful shot of the base of the rocket. 3.85 million pounds of thrust is what this rocket is going to have on liftoff. So that is the first stage. Let's go on to the second stage. The second stage has 2 BE-3U engines, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen on those engines. And the thing that makes those engines different from these engines that you're looking at is the fact that they are throttleable. Like a jet engine, we can power up, we can also smoothly power back. The other thing is that they're built to operate in space. It's difficult, it's hard, it's different in the sense that you're operating in a vacuum. It means that there's no oxygen, there's no air pressure, it's really cold up there, so you have to change how you tweak the engineering of the engine. So we should also note that we've got a lot of experience with these types of engines. It's very similar to what flies on New Shepard. So we've got over a decade of experience with operating liquid hydrogen, which is a big deal. But that's just one of the many ties between the two programs. We like to show off how they're tied together because that's on purpose.
Certainly. And we also have to talk about something, which is we have a new leader at the helm of New Glenn.
We do. Jordan Charles. He's my new boss. He's the new head of New Glenn. He joined Blue Origin 8 years ago and has successfully led the GS1 team, the team that does the first stage of New Glenn for 3 of those 8 years. I can tell you, he's been my boss since about August, and he has a fantastic leadership style, and his experience is going to be really important as we move into this new chapter of New Glenn, which is, okay, we know that this rocket works and works very well and successfully, as we saw on New Glenn 1, but now it's about scaling up, getting to rate, launching, landing, repeating.
Certainly it is, and it's so great to have Jordan leading this program. Now, for today, we also have these 2 primary objectives for New Glenn. The first, of course, to safely deploy the Escapade payload and deliver for our customers. Also on board is a technology demonstrator from Viasat in support of NASA's Communications Services project.
That's right, and our second objective, we're taking our second attempt at landing the booster for the first time. And I'm warning you, Tabitha, if this happens, I will lose my mind on the desk.
Girl.
I am, so warning everybody here on set. It's going to happen. And, you know, we're feeling really optimistic, but I should say we're in rockets, so I should say cautiously optimistic about the improvements that we've made to the booster. But regardless of what happens, whether we're successful on that second objective or not, we are going to keep learning and refining and applying all of that information to the next rockets that are on the floor right behind us here.
Yeah, and we already have several more vehicles in production, as you said, right behind us. And landing the booster, as we mentioned, is no easy undertaking. Our team, and myself included in that, recently had the opportunity to spend a day at sea with our Jacqueline crew and learn more about the operations of landing and securing the booster, an operation and moment that will change the course of Blue Origin history. Check it out.
The Jacqueline is the landing platform vessel where New Glenn will come down, land, and we secure it and bring it back in.
She's 380 foot long, 150 foot wide, and she's a self-propelled vessel. We are the recovery side of the operation. This is where GS1 is going to land, and actually that feather is a center point.
We have to leave 4 days before launch. We check all our equipment, and we ensure that everything is working, everything is fully functional. We transit for 300 to 400 miles, depending on how far the landing location is. And once we get there, dynamic positioning allows the thrusters on board here will hold this in position within a range of about 10 feet.
We'll have a couple small changes of Jacqueline's position. They're going to feed us new coordinates, right? So we might move 500 yards this direction, a little that way, but we're generally in the area. And right up to like 45 minutes or an hour before, that's our final position.
When the booster lands, the ROV will come out. Once it's mated with the booster effectively, we'll start pumping high-pressure nitrogen into the booster, which will allow the detanking process to continue to make the booster inert and safe for us to operate around.
These are the transit stands. These are what we actually use to secure GS1 to the deck. Each one of these units is individually controlled. We'll have 6 different operators operating them out under the vehicle, and then we're able to lock out the stands, which basically rigidizes GS1 to the LPV deck and allows us to bring it home.
The complexity of what we do out here is pretty important because we operate in such an isolated environment. We're hundreds of miles offshore. We're relying on satellite communication.
The one thing about working on the ocean and in the elements, we fight it. It never wants to work with you. The best you can do is just get along with it. I hope people understand how important reusability is to this program. Us being out here and allowing us to retrieve these vehicles and bring back and reuse them, we reduce the cost, we reduce pollution.
My favorite part of being Team Blue is how everybody works together as a very cohesive group. This is really, really rewarding just to kind of see everyone marching together towards one successful landing operation.
And Ariane, we've got a live look there of the Jacqueline. Such an honor to be able to go out on that barge. But a thing to note that the entire team there is like a family. They are eating, sleeping, playing a few card games, and working together, sometimes for more than a week at a time. Now, they've been running these simulations for months leading up to NG-2, and we're all hopeful today that they finally get to put all that preparation into good action, you know?
Exactly, and that plays into the 2 primary objectives of this launch.
Wait, hold on. we have someone who's just come into the studio.
Oh,
I
yes.
hope it's okay. Dr. Fox, Dr. Nikki Fox, yes. Hey, do you think you could come over here just for a second? Hi.
Hi.
Sorry. I hope it's not a surprise to bring you onto the webcast.
No, I'm glad to be here. It's just such an exciting day.
It is. So how are you feeling about today? What are you doing here?
Oh, well, I'm working on console, working with the team, super excited. It is just an amazing day. We've waited a long time for this. This is for us such a day of firsts. First NASA science mission on a New Glenn, first heliophysics mission going to Mars, first interplanetary spacecraft for Rocket Labs. All of these really amazing things. And for me, the excitement is it's really the first mission that we are going to launch for Artemis to be able to start getting ready to protect our crews when they go to Mars. Super excited about Artemis 2 next year, launching to the moon, and then NASA Science, we are eyes on Mars.
Oh, we're all eyes on Escapade and Mars today, aren't we?
Amazing. Isn't this nice that I believe your background is in heliophysics? How do you feel about going to Mars? Like we're mixing it up in the solar system for you.
Well, I will tell you, for heliophysics, the moment you leave the Earth's atmosphere, you're traveling in my neighborhood.
That's fair.
Right? Heliophysics goes all the way from the center of the sun to the very outer edge of our solar system. So I actually was one of the, I got to select this mission, so could not be more excited to be here with my amazing heliophysics team getting ready to launch this mission.
And especially given the advanced space has made this extraordinary trajectory
right.
that two spacecraft are going to fly around L2, but also again
for the first time ever.
First time ever, and it actually unlocks a lot of possibilities for us thinking about Mars going forward, because now maybe we're not stuck with these Mars launch windows.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's such a fantastic day.
Cool.
And really briefly, can you explain that for our viewers? Because what we're doing is we're kind of doing it in the middle period where we normally wouldn't send something to Mars, but we're going to sit it and let it wait. So explain that.
We are. So we don't have to wait another basically 13 months for Mars to get exactly in the right place and then launch. We are launching the mission. It's going to basically hang out and then wait for Mars to come into the right location and then accelerate full speed ahead to Mars. So it's just a really great, yet another mission of firsts. Yeah.
So many great things. Dr. Fox, thank you for taking the time. I'm sorry I had to grab you, but we couldn't pass up this opportunity.
Well, and I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank Blue Origin for their amazing partnership on the New Glenn. I want to thank Rocket Labs for all the work they've done, the amazing team at NASA Goddard, my incredible team at NASA headquarters. We deliver, they crush it every day, delivering for the nation, inspiring the world.
Well, and thank you. It is an honor to fly a NASA payload on New Glenn today. That you trust us with your technology like that, it means a lot. It's first of many to come, we hope.
First of many to come.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. Gotta get back to the console. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye. Well, with that, it's so great to add people to the webcast team today. But let's throw it back over to Eddie. Eddie, he is out. He is out with a great view in Rocket Park. And Eddie, who you got there?
Yeah, hey Tabitha, hey Ariane. We know going to space is a team effort, and I've got one of those key teammates with me today. This is Tim Fisher, one of the chief engineers of Blue Moon, and behind us is Lunar Plant 1 that has 2.5 million square feet. Well, it brings our Rocket Park facilities to 2.5 million square feet of production space. Tim, what happens in the building behind us?
Well, we're building our Mark II crewed lander, one of the biggest spacecraft ever, and our cislunar transporter, another humongous spacecraft, almost as big as the upper stage of New Glenn. And we even have parts of our second serial number of the Mark I lander in there right now.
No, it's very exciting what this team gets to do on a daily basis, helping NASA, helping Blue return to the moon, this time to stay. Tim, what makes our lunar lander so special?
Well, we're here for reusability and sustainability. We've chosen a lander architecture that someday we can refuel and reuse and go back and forth to the moon several times with the same lander.
This is exciting, right? This is the stuff of science fiction, and Tim and his team are making it happen. And soon, right? Tell us about Mark I. What is that about?
So Mark I is our Pathfinder. It's using a lot of the same technologies. It's a hydrogen-oxygen lunar lander, and we are aiming it for the moon this spring, and it's going to prove out a lot of the technologies we need to get the crewed lander.
Tabitha, Ariane, I'm excited to return to the moon, this time to stay. What else can we answer here?
I love it. Eddie, you saw in the video, we had some B-roll playing back there. You can see with the cars for scale. at the massive building. Can you talk a little bit about why it's so big? I mean, our lunar landers, you know, are not necessarily going to be that big. Why does the building need to be that big?
Yeah, no, Tim and I were just talking about this, right? The Mark II crew lander that will be ready soon, it stands over 16 meters tall. So you have to encapsulate that in the very large New Glenn fairing, and that happens in the building behind us. So then we can send that payload fairing to the integration facility at LC-36 and get it ready to New Glenn and launch it to the moon.
Fantastic. I should note, Tabitha, that there's the co-location component of this is so important from a production and ease and operation standpoint. I should also say that's one of the reasons why we built our rocket factory here in Florida. We're the first company organization to build rockets that they then launch out of here also in Florida. And the co-location in principle is supposed to make this, just make the operations faster, smoother, cut down the time, cut down the risk. Anytime you're transporting a rocket, you're taking risk, right? So we want to cut that down. It's cutting down on the risk, cutting down on the operations. But what is also nice is that the team that's going to be building the lunar the lunar payload and our lunar landers out here get the opportunity to come walk, you know, a couple hundred feet down the road and then come and talk to the engineers that are here building New Glenn. So the co-location, you know, we do have several locations around the U.S., but by now, in terms of number of people and programs and things, Florida is starting to become a little bit more, let's say, the center of our operational gravity, if you will. And so we're so fortunate that we decided to create such a large campus here in Florida to then be able to add, as appropriate, the other programs, not just the New Glenn program.
Right, certainly continuing to build in many ways, and of course, build the road to space for the benefit of Earth. Yes. Well, if you are just joining us, I wanted to let you guys know you've got a live look there from Huntsville. Everyone is getting so pumped up for NG-2. But right now, we are at L-minus 48 minutes, about 45 seconds. You might be like, wait a minute, I thought we were a little closer to launch than that. Well, that is because we do have a reset of the clock to allow for weather conditions to clear for launch. That is Kent Washington.
Go Kent, losing it.
Oh, yeah. I like the guy with the flag. I like whoever's job it is, make sure they're the hype man with the flag.
That is Doug Gross. He is, I want to say, first couple dozen of employees.
Really?
That man has been here. He's a legend at our company. So if we've given him flag bearer, he's
earned that honor. Hype man for today. Such an exciting day for all of us here at Blue Origin. But right now, we're going to take a moment. We're going to throw it right over to this beautiful rocket. Let you sit with it there on the pad as we are continuing the process for NG-2. All right, welcome back. You are currently watching the broadcast of NG-2. We're at L-minus 44 minutes and 50 seconds, and I've got to throw it out to our very own Eddie Seyfert, who is with employees at Rocket Park. They are pumped. We are pumped. Eddie, bring it to us. What's going on out there?
What can I say? This is hype. This crew, they've committed to be louder than B4. This is the heartbeat of New Glenn. These people here, these teammates of ours, they're the ones that build B4. They're the ones that build New Glenn GS1, GS2, that put Escapade on top of that rocket, and they're here to see a launch. Who's ready for a launch?
Eddie, it's so great to be able to see so many people come out on a Sunday, by the way. That just shows you, as you said, the heartbeat of New Glenn. What are they talking about? What are they most excited about today?
Yeah, well, listen, this crowd is hyped, as you mentioned, on a Sunday. We're just so excited to be here. It's about what we do day in and day out for our mission, and our family and friends that let us do this. That's what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. I could definitely feel that. The crowd has been growing, too. Goodness, at L-minus 43 minutes. I mean, Ariane, we're feeling it. We're here at the desk. We're isolated, but we feel just as pumped as they do.
Just as pumped. And what gets me, like, as a nerd, even if you're not a space nerd, look at that image. That is
stunning.
So cool. Like,
Well, yeah, what's happening to it right now?
So basically, this rocket is fully fueled. We've got the liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen on the second stage. That's what you see there on the top. And then you'll see the fins there, and just below the fins, there you go. That's the New Glenn first stage with liquefied natural gas and liquid oxygen in there. And it looks like it's steaming, but it's quite the contrary. It's really, really cold. So what you see, you can barely see, New Glenn on the side of the rocket there, and it's so cool.
It is really. I mean, that's the right
like
word.
A nerd.
It's cool because it's cool.
I know. I had kids, but like my husband, I'm popping out dad jokes. It's really awful. It happens. But anyway, it is the rocket is looking really, really good. I should say, Tabitha, the team has been working so hard over the last couple of days to get that rocket ready, and in particular, we learned so much on NG-1. So much. This is the first time you do something. Okay, like you design it one way, but you don't really see how things are going to click and connect physically on the rocket, but also from a team perspective, from an operational perspective, until you do it. And so we learned so much on NG-1, and to see the speed and the improvement on NG-2 has been amazing. Last week, so I was down here last week for what we call integrated hot fire. So what we do is we stack the rocket, looked exactly like this. We hold down the rocket, and we fire the 7 BE-4 engines. There you see the base of the rocket, those 7 BE-4 engines.
Super powerful.
Just to make sure that everything is flowing and working right. And we rolled out the rocket one evening, and we hot fired the rocket the next evening. That took us several attempts the first time we did this. And this time, boom, within 24 hours, we had our integrated hot fire test complete, which is what led us here. And then basically a week later, we were on the pad ready to launch because we had a couple of learnings that came out of that integrated hot fire, but we're ready to go.
Right back at it.
It wasn't a ton of things. And so that is just one way in which we're showing the improvement in our operations of this rocket. And if we keep up on that trajectory, so to speak,
think about what that leads to.
That is what's going to lead to the launch, land, repeat, and that's why today is so important for everybody at home. We're objective number one, putting this rocket into space to put our customer, our NASA Escapade mission into space. Objective number two is to get that first stage, the booster, to land on the ship downrange, because we need to learn from the landed booster to be able to do the refurbishment, because this rocket is reusable, because we're going to bring down the cost of access to space through that reusability.
Exactly.
Look at that.
But just taking a moment to sit with the rocket. Let's actually toss it back over to the rocket on the pad. Again, you are watching the webcast of NG-2.
I'm getting chills.
I mean, Ariane, New Glenn looks fantastic right now. It is almost peaceful, heavenly-like looking, especially with the clouds. I know we're in a weather hold right now, but it looks really nice. It's beautiful.
She's just chilling, that rocket.
She's being illuminated. She's chilling. The rocket's chilling. I'm chilling. Ariane's chilling. But you at home, don't chill. Come with me. We want to take you through something really cool, okay? While we're in this hold, let's talk about Viasat's HaloNet network. Now, the commercial communication system supporting NASA's shift to next-generation space relay services is actually a part of today's mission as well.
That's right. So the same technology featured here is being demonstrated on today's New Glenn flight to relay launch telemetry in real time.
There's a pulse that drives every mission, a signal, a connection, a lifeline. In space, where timing is critical and distance immense, communications can't fall behind. From liftoff to orbit and throughout the mission lifecycle, HaloNet enables real-time, continuous, and on-demand telemetry, tracking, and control over secure L-band links, providing resilient connectivity with or without local ground infrastructure. In orbit, HaloNet provides high-throughput, low-latency data relay over secure satellite links, designed for global operations with roaming support that keeps you connected throughout the mission. When near real-time access to data is essential, HaloNet's global ground station network ensures direct-to-Earth connectivity, delivering rapid downlink around the world. And when your mission takes you off the grid, HaloNet includes a portable, field-deployable command and control platform, a self-contained mobile gateway that extends connectivity into remote or unpredictable environments, enabling continuous operations. Built with security in mind, HaloNet integrates next-generation encryption, trusted by defense and government users worldwide, protecting mission-critical data from the ground up. As legacy systems retire, HaloNet is already engineered to support what's next. From scalable infrastructure to emerging capabilities like optical communications. From the ground to orbit and everything in between, HaloNet is the pulse of your mission, connecting space, empowering progress, securing the future.
So you saw Viasat. We haven't. We should speak a little bit more about this payload because it's the primary payload, of course, is Escapade. You actually saw there in the middle of the video, we had a little side box there that showed the two twin satellites inside the fairing live, ready for their launch to space today. But on top of the payload adapter, kind of the base of where you saw the two satellites in there, is also this Viasat it's essentially a radio.
It's a demonstration.
It's a demonstration technology, radio technology for telemetry.
There it is.
Oh, well, there you go. There are the two satellites. What a beautiful, the two Escapade satellites. We got blue and gold in there. But I just want to talk about this because we talk about landing the rocket today. That is huge. But getting our customers to where they need to go is really, really important. So we're going to deploy those two satellites at about T+33 minutes. But then the second stage is going to continue in space, right? The two satellites go on their way. And that is when we're going to turn on the Viasat payload as well. So the Viasat payload is not going to deploy. It's going to stay on the rocket. And they're going to test their technology. And it's so, we feel so honored that we've got organizations like NASA.
Right.
We've got organizations like Viasat, one of the foremost satellite operators in the world, that are entrusting Blue Origin with their technology. And, yes, this is the second launch of our rocket, but we have shown that through the way that we do our engineering and our development and our testing program, that they said, okay, let's take a chance with you guys. And that means a lot to us. That is not lost on us. And so I want to thank, our customers,
partners.
all of our partners and customers that have flown with us and are going to fly with us. It really does mean a lot. It's not lost on us what our mission is.
Not at all. Little rideshare payload. The Viasat CPS technical demonstration is what we will be seeing. And you right there are seeing a live look from Jacqueline. And Ariane, it would look so much better, as you said.
God.
It's missing something.
It's missing. There's something
It's just something
off
that
on
could
this
go
image.
right in the middle.
Right
That would look real good.
Can I tell? A lot of people don't know this. That landing pad is the same size as the landing pad for New Shepard.
It is.
That's
right.
The rocket is 5 times taller. Just think you scale something up 5 times, and we're going to land. To be fair, that's all stacked together. But it's still 7 meters in diameter, and the first stage is massive in its own right. It's still like landing a building, but it's on the same circumference as New Shepard.
It is a moment that I know we're all kind of on the edge of our seats waiting for. I certainly am. We've been building up to this moment for months, and then technically for years if we look at how much time it has taken from the start of this company. 25 years ago, we just had our 25th anniversary, and something really interesting, Ariane, 10 years to the month and almost to the day is when we landed the New Shepard booster.
Yes, it was, and I don't want to be misquoted. I think it was November 15th. It'd be off by a day or two.
That's all right. No one's holding you to it.
But it was of 2015.
Yeah.
When we landed New Shepard for the first time, and that was the first time any organization had ever landed a booster that had gone to space before. And I had the honor of being down there. The organization looked a little bit, Blue Origin looked a little different than it does today. We had a couple hundred employees. We're now over 10,000 employees.
Yeah.
We basically had, well, we had Kent and we had West Texas, and that's it. And there was a group of, I don't know, maybe like 15 of us, a dozen of us on this back porch. Of course, there was mission control. And it was the second time we had attempted this, similar to, right, there are a lot of parallels. Similar to New Glenn, we had a beautiful first launch, but if it were an expendable rocket, it had been a perfect first launch. We didn't land the booster the way we wanted to. And on the second launch, we launched it and it came back, and Tabitha got, this is like ingrained, like just burned in my memory, is this rocket came down and we heard on this handheld radio, you know, the engines, like drag brakes deploy, engine relay, and people are just like losing it.
Holding their breath.
Holding their breath. And you see in the distance, because for New Shepard, you're a couple miles away, and it kicked up all this dust, and then we heard touchdown. And there you go. See, you see our happy engineers. It was like that. We just lost our minds. And I am sure that today, when this rocket comes down and does the same thing, it will be like that, but also as we have scaled up, everything gets scaled up, all the energy, it will be over 10,000 employees losing their mind. Is that man wearing a kilt?
There's no judgment here. This is awesome.
I love
more
it.
kilts.
I love it. Hashtag more kilts.
But one thing is, you know, we have built this company for a lot of things, and another big piece of it is customer focus.
Yes.
I got the chance to talk to Dave Limp about this yesterday. It's such an important part of everything we do, and it really ties into something else that we have, and that is our Mars Telecommunications Orbiter, or MTO. And let's kind of dive into this for a little bit. So current communications spacecraft at Mars, they're aging, and we need to make sure that we have new and robust capabilities out there that can kind of support not just our existing rovers and instruments doing groundbreaking work on the Martian surface, but also to lay the groundwork for more science and even more human missions. Well, the first human mission and all those beyond that.
Exactly. And our Mars Telecommunications Orbiter is based on existing blue ring vehicle, and it provides high rate communications, but also does much more in a single spacecraft.
Yeah, in addition to communications, our Blue Ring MTO could also fly exciting science payloads and technology demonstrations. For example, flying a synthetic aperture radar on Blue Ring MTO will help us find the ice on Mars, which will inform future landing sites for human missions. So take a look at our Mars Telecommunications Orbiter.
Tabitha, that concept is really cool. I also want to warn you, I am very biased. Because
Tell me why, Ariane. Why are you biased?
So about 6 months ago, I took my current role, but prior to that, I had the honor. Oh, hold on. Just to note, well, we have rain out there on the pad.
But this is Florida. If you don't like the weather, just wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, exactly. So but now you guys know why we were waiting for a little bit. We saw this coming, so we're just holding here and added a little bit more time to the clock, and that's why we're still holding about 24 minutes and 50 seconds to go until launch. We're going to wait for this to pass. But as I was mentioning, prior to taking this current role, I had the honor of being deputy in charge of our in-space systems business unit that is building Blue Ring. And Blue Ring has this ability to take up to 13 payloads and then deploy them, but then also act as the comms relay, also do edge computing in space. So basically, you know, in a very simplified way of talking about it, it's kind of like a mission in a box. You can take that whole constellation, send it to Mars, deploy the satellites, and then use the Blue Ring itself, which did its first job as transporting, to then be the communications relay back to Earth. And the more power you have in that comms capability, the faster you're going to get the data and the communications. Right now, one of the biggest issues is that Mars is so far away. And so like there's this huge delay. The better the comms you can have, the better we're setting up, as you were mentioning before, you know, future, not just the science that needs to happen to prep us for our future missions to Mars for, let's say, robotic landers and things like that, but also for people to go to Mars one day. So we're really excited about the prospect of this mission and what we can do, again, for our customer here at NASA as they think about future exploration missions.
Yeah, it's so exciting to hear just about everything that is happening. Again, you are watching the webcast for NG-2. We're at L-23 minutes and about 20 seconds. Let's toss it back over to New Glenn on the pad. That booster, so appropriately named, Never Tell Me the Odds, looking nice and cool. Well, Ariane, right now you and I, we're sitting here at the desk. We are looking at this beautiful image of New Glenn on the pad. But yesterday, you and I actually got to go out to the pad. We had some time to look at NG-2 in all glory. And so I want to talk about how cool it was for us to go and see this engineering marvel.
Let's check it out.
Okay, so walk me through kind of the different components of this rocket.
Okay, so on the most very basic level, we've got GS1, and then stacked on top of it, GS2. It's basically like stacking a rocket on top of a rocket, right? So let's maybe start with the GS1 because it's doing a lot of the work today, right? And we want to land this booster as well. At the top, we call the forward section, you'll see kind of a gold section up there at the top where the 4 fins are.
Right.
Those fins, they move back and forth, right? So they help with directional capability on the rocket. The whole main section of it, though, in the middle, is basically a big fuel tank. And then you get to the aft, the bottom section there, that has the landing gear you see in each of the doors, but it also has the 7 BE4 engines that are in the base.
Right.
At the top then, so that's basically GS1. At the top, basically from the white portion above the gold and beyond, tucked in there are the 2 BE3U engines. The part with the feather, again, that's all basically tank, liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen for the propellants. I forgot to mention liquid oxygen and liquefied natural gas, the propellants for the first stage, so they're different propellants. And then kind of that nice, smooth top, that is the fairing. There are 2 halves of the fairing, and those will deploy off, those will fall apart once the second stage is up in space.
Right.
And inside the fairing is where the Escapade, the 2 payloads, the 2 satellites of the Escapade mission are currently.
Our twins.
They're twins. They're on what's called an ESPA ring. And so it's a ring that mates to the top of the rocket. And then on that ESPA ring, we put the 2 satellites. So once they're up there in orbit at about 33 minutes, first the blue will deploy. We wait 30 seconds. Pretty obvious. We don't want them to run into each other, right? And then second, the gold deploys. So that's what happens with the second stage once it's off of space. But keep in mind, first stage,
making its way home.
It's making its way home, right? So the engines have done half of the work on its way up. We flip it around. We start a burn that slows the rocket. Right. We then use the strakes, or they're basically our wings at the base of the rocket. It helps with what we call cross range. So we basically can effectively fly the rocket, and then it lands on the Jacqueline platform just in the last couple minutes or less even. We have 3 of the 7 engines that relight, and then finally just the final engine that lights. You don't need all of the power, all the engines, because you're landing what is effectively an empty fuel tank.
And something the size of a skyscraper.
Something that's the size of a skyscraper. So you do need power, obviously, but not as much, obviously, as when it starts. And then it should come for a nice soft landing on the Jacqueline. And if we do that,
it'll be pretty epic.
It'll be history, it'll be epic, and it opens a new chapter for Blue Origin.
So appropriately named, Never Tell Me the Odds.
Don't tell me those odds.
And Ariane, it was really, I don't know, almost like an out-of-body experience to be standing next to New Glenn. I have been to New Shepard launches. This is my first New Glenn launch. And to see New Glenn upright, and to be in the presence of something the size of a skyscraper, and to learn, as you mentioned, it's essentially a rocket stacked on top of a rocket, right? And the pad itself has so much history. It's just like, I don't know, Space Coast is such a special place. This launch is so special. This rocket is so special. So
yeah, I had a chance to chat with some of our customers and our VIPs that also got a chance to check out the rocket. A lot of them, of course, have been in the industry a long time, and they got out there for a photo op yesterday, and they said, "This rocket just looks beautiful." Yeah. And there is something to be said, actually, for you can look at a piece of engineering. I know it's very simplistic, but you can look at a piece of engineering and be like, aha, that looks right. That looks right. It feels right. You add too many bells and whistles and you're like, it's not. This rocket is a marvel of engineering. It flew so well on its first go. I cannot wait to see how it performs on its second go. And as we said, we're cautiously optimistic. We've made some changes to the first stage after our first launch, where we didn't recover the booster to be able to land this time. And we feel good. We feel good. I don't want to jinx anything, but man, I feel good.
Knocking. I knock on my,
knocking all over the place. Yeah.
But you're right. I've been talking to employees, for months leading up to this moment, and employees do feel good. Engineers feel good. And this launch, it feels different. It feels good. And I think everyone is just, on the edge of their seat at this precipice, right? We're ready to land the booster.
It would feel a lot better if these clouds got out of the way, if this weather got out of the way.
We are in a weather hold. So here's what's going on. If you are tuning in right now, you're watching the webcast for NG-2. You might notice on your screen that we are in a hold. We're doing that to allow for a little more time for that weather to clear. We're going to let you know and keep you guys posted on the new T-clock as soon as we get information on that. So right now, let's toss it back over to New Glenn on the pad as we wait for some of this weather to just kind of move on out.
Roll on by.
Let's get out of here. All right, friends, you are watching the webcast of NG-2. We are currently in a hold at about L-20 minutes. But in the meantime, here's something we love to do here. We love our jobs here, and we also love inspiring others. We want to inspire a few more of you also at home with our nonprofit Club for the Future. Club has the mission to inspire and mobilize future generations to pursue careers in STEAM. That's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, all for the benefit of Earth. I am the A in STEAM.
Yeah,
which
is
the arts part.
Which is super, super important. The ability to communicate about it, right? Like it's so important. the A component of STEAM. But as part of the Club for the Future program, one of the cool opportunities that we give is we allow students to send postcards to space and back via New Shepard. And we also provide online STEAM-based lesson plans that are free for students and teachers to use. And then so that everybody can get a piece of the action.
Right.
Even easier is that we have these digital postcard, this drawing tool that you can go online and anybody can send that art to space. So for more information, if that sounds cool to you, just go to clubforfuture.org.
That's right. That's clubforfuture.org. Ariane, where do you fall in the STEAM spectrum? You're a bit of everything, I feel like.
I've always kind of been like...
You're like, I'm science and technology and a bit of engineering and math.
Yeah, but I kind of like it all.
Yeah. And arts today and anytime we get the honor of having you with us.
Let's be very clear. I'm not the one that's going to be designing that insane trajectory that Advanced Space did for Escapade today.
Right.
So, like, props to you guys. But I love every part of space and all that goes into it, and clearly the A part of it is also incredibly important.
It's neat to have such a cool team of all of the great letters that work together. And Jeff himself has said that it is this generation's job to build a road to space so that future generations can unleash their creativity. Check it out.
When I was in high school, I was working to build a rocket for a target altitude competition.
My mom took me to an observatory opening, and I got to see the rings of Saturn through a telescope.
Growing up, I was just not very good at doing school. I wasn't really good at doing homework.
There was a teacher at my school, Mr. Cullen, and we spent hours together after school. I would be building a rocket in the back of his class, and that was incredible for me.
I had a chemistry teacher who also taught astronomy, sparked that interest in me. She went outside the lines of what I believed a science person should be.
It helped jumpstart a passion where I am now a propulsion engineer launching rockets.
If a teacher like that could help a student like me and pull me to this career, it just makes me think, you know, what can I do to help inspire the next generation?
And that was life-changing for me.
And that's what Club for the Future is really all about.
Love Club for the Future, and you saw all those really excited employees out there.
Yeah.
There they are, losing it. That's right, Team Blue. Looks like, I think this is our team in Huntsville. There's our team in Kent, coming in on a Sunday to cheer on their rocket. Woo! You see,
I want to cheer with them. I want to be there.
If we land this rocket today, they're gonna
go nuts.
This is cheering.
We may not even be able to show it.
And there's a team out here in Florida. You see, they're on top of the garage just right next to us. They've got the best view for this launch. There's our team. They are ready to rock and roll. I love it. I absolutely love it. The team at Blue.
There you go.
You're on TV. Let's go.
We're waiting too. We understand. We're waiting on that weather hold to lift. Everyone's excited, but the time is coming.
Where our team is they're still working on the situation with the weather and assessing the weather conditions out there, but otherwise speaking, the team and the rocket are ready to go. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Looks beautiful.
And I think what you were saying is, you know, employees are so excited, and they're also very involved in community, and they're involved in schools, and Club for the Future gives us that opportunity.
Yeah, and it's not an accident in the sense that, you know, our vision is millions of people living and working in space for the benefit of Earth.
That's right.
Right?
For all of Earth.
For all of Earth. And we need to 3 steps to that. We got to reduce the cost of accessing space.
Number 1.
We need to figure out then how to go to space and take advantage of the resources that are out there to make life on Earth better. And the third key part of that is inspiring the next generation, because this is not a project that is done in 6 months. This is not building an app, right? Like this is
forever.
Decadal, generational type of work. And if we don't have a strong next generation to pass the baton to, that is super excited and is trained and is motivated to do so, then what are we doing?
Knowledge is power.
It fades if you don't pass that baton on. And so that's why at Blue we've made it a core part of what we do. And what I don't use like the big, we Blue Origin, but literally as individuals, there are so many of us that we call club ambassadors that go
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm
You're
also
one of them.
Go and speak about space on behalf of Blue, but arguably on behalf of the industry, because that is such a critical component of what we do. So props to the actual group within Blue Origin, our Club for the Future team.
You know, Heather and Lucas and Kristen, they love to reach out, and we love to help them out anytime. Recently, I even had the opportunity to speak to a group of students in India.
Oh, I love it.
I had just gone to India last year, and the fact I was able then to turn around and talk to them and relate not only my travels to India to what we're doing in the space industry here and what we're doing at Blue, I mean, it really brings a tear to my eye, because it's so cool to be able to make those connections. So you could tell we love Club for the Future. We love inspiring the next generation, and we love inspiring you too at home. But if you're just joining us, this is the webcast for NG-2. We've got a live look on the right side of your screen of Jacqueline. Would look a lot better once that booster goes up and we maybe set it down right where that feather is. That looks like a good spot right there. And then, of course, on the left-hand side, you have New Glenn on the pad ready to go. But let's talk about the flight profile overall. While we're in this hold, we're in a weather hold right now, we made a really cool video that dives a little bit deeper on the entire flight profile of New Glenn. So check it out.
New Glenn lifts off from Launch Complex 36 on Cape Canaveral. 7 BE-4 engines will ignite and propel the rocket upward with over 3.8 million pounds of thrust, or roughly 17,000 kilonewtons. The vehicle will quickly reach supersonic speeds as it climbs through the atmosphere. As the rocket ascends, it will encounter maximum aerodynamic pressure, known as max Q, at around 40,000 feet, or 12 kilometers. This is the point at which the stress on the vehicle is at its highest. Around 3 minutes into the flight, the vehicle will turn off its engines, marking the end of the boost phase. Shortly after, the reusable first stage will separate and begin its journey back to Earth. 2 BE-3U engines on the second stage will ignite and propel it onward into orbit with the payload. The reusable booster reorients in the vacuum of space using its reaction control system. At 220,000 feet, or 67 kilometers, it executes an exo-atmospheric deceleration burn using its Center 3 engines. These engines gimbal for maximum control of the booster. This burn slows the vehicle down before re-entering the atmosphere. As it descends, the booster's strakes and fins work together to slow it down and guide it autonomously New Glenn will deliver an unprecedented range of payloads. Large satellites, dual payloads, orbital vehicles, large constellation dispensers, even moonlanders destined to establish permanent human presence on the moon. Once it arrives at its insertion location, the payload will separate from New Glenn.
I get chills every time I see that feather come on screen. It's such a great piece pulled together to really explain what's going to be happening with NG-2. So there you go. You have a live look, though, of New Glenn on the pad. Now you understand the entire flight profile. But while we're in this hold and we're working out weather, let's go ahead and send it back over to the rocket and just sit with NG-2. All right, friends, you are watching the webcast for NG-2. We are currently in a hold at about the L-20-minute mark. And I got an update for you guys. We're waiting on weather. You might be looking at that and be like, the weather looks pretty good, Tabitha. And I'd be like, you're right. It's looking a lot better, huh? Well, we're also chasing some boats out of the way.
The boats!
There are some boats that are essentially being told, hey, you're in our flight path. You got to get out of here. They should have known that to begin with. But that's just one of the other things that you deal with when you deal with rocket launches.
Tabitha, I'm gonna try to see the silver lining in this, or I'm gonna try to be the ever optimist that I am. Last time we had this launch, we also had an errant boat in our in our flight path, and we had a pretty spectacular launch. And we put our payload, got to orbit, we filled our objective. So I'm going to call this a good luck omen.
A good luck. You know, speaking of good luck omens, yesterday, me, you, and our very own Eddie Seyfert, we were headed out to the launch pad, and we saw a tortoise crossing the road. And if you didn't know, tortoises are a part of our coat of arms, and we find them as a sign of good luck. So Eddie, you are out there, you are with employees, you're at the best spot to see the rocket launch. But let's talk about something serious for a second. Let's talk about how hard it is to land the booster. For those of you who don't know, you probably do know if you're watching this webcast, on our first attempt, we weren't able to land the booster, but we were able to get our payload into orbit. Today, our big objective, aside from getting our payload into orbit, which is Escapade, is we want to land our booster. No, never tell me the odds, and I like the name of that booster, so I want to keep it. So, Eddie, how hard is that?
Well, so first off, thank you for your patience. The weather here is looking a little better. The boats, as Ariane said last time, definitely safety is our highest priority. And the tortoise, for me, a sign of good luck. I mean, I think it's just a trifecta of signs that we're ready to not just launch Escapade to space successfully, but to land this booster. So we learned a lot. Nothing substitutes flight data. So the GS-1 booster, after it separates from the GS-2 upper stage, it does a 180-degree flip maneuver so that the aft section is facing backwards, or basically back down to Earth, but in the flight path. And so that 180-degree maneuver is conducted by our reaction control system. They're peroxide monothrusters. We call them the severe weather agility thrusters. And those worked perfectly last time. We did the maneuver. And then the BE-4 engine goes for reignition. So the 3 center engines reignite what we call the exo-atmospheric re-entry burn. And its entire purpose is to slow down the GS-1 as it re-enters the atmosphere so that its superior aerodynamic performance, those long strakes, those forward fins, can guide the GS-1 booster over the Jacqueline.
Yeah, Eddie, thank you for such a good explanation for our viewers at home, because it took a little bit for me to understand, too, exactly. I'm like, why is it so difficult? And it's like, Tabitha, it's pretty difficult. And I'm like, yeah, it's like when you watch the Olympics and you watch someone run fast, you're like, oh, I can do that. It's like, no, you can't. It's actually quite difficult. So, thank you, Eddie, for that great explanation. Again, we are currently in a hold. You are watching NG-2, our webcast here. We are at about L-20 minutes. We're going to toss it right back over to the rocket. New Glenn is on the pad. It is feeling cool. It is looking cool. And it is literally, Ariane, very cool right now. All right, friends, you are watching the webcast for NG-2 right now. You can see New Glenn out there on the pad. But an important part of what's happening today with New Glenn is we are sending Escapade to Mars. And I got the extreme privilege, the honor, if you will, to talk to the principal investigator of Escapade, Dr. Rob Lillis. Check it out. Rob, for someone who doesn't know, what does the principal investigator of Escapade do?
So the principal investigator is entrusted by NASA to execute the entire project. So it's kind of like the buck stops with me. I have a team of excellent people around me, but I'm responsible for the production of the data, the definition of the science requirements, the execution, the technical aspect of the mission. I think it's a great model for how NASA sort of entrusts the completion, the execution of a mission to a partner like UC Berkeley, where I'm based.
And Escapade is a really special project. We are so excited to be taking it up today on NG-2. Tell me a little bit about what Escapade does.
So Escapade is a twin spacecraft mission going to Mars, orbiting Mars to sample the ways in which Mars and its upper atmosphere respond to changes in space weather. By space weather, I mean the million-mile-per-hour stream of charged particles that the sun is at all times throwing out. Sometimes that stream gets gusty, and the gustiness, essentially, of it is what we call space weather. And there's all sorts of ways that can happen. The magnetic field can get stronger, the speed can get higher, the density can get higher, and all those things have an effect on the Martian atmosphere. And over time, it can strip away the particles in the upper atmosphere. And we know that this has been an important process by which Mars's climate has changed over Martian history. Early in Mars history, up to about 2 billion years ago, Mars was at least occasionally warm and wet. It had a thick atmosphere. It was habitable. We don't know whether life actually existed, but it was habitable there. But then in the last 2 billion years, it's lost most of its atmosphere. And we think that the stripping of the atmosphere by the solar wind is a big reason why that happened. And Escapade is going to be sampling and investigating these processes with a stereo perspective, with 2 spacecraft. And that's really important, because up until now, with one single spacecraft, we've only been able to measure either the solar wind itself or the effect of the solar wind closer to the planet. We've either had the cause or the effect, but separately. With Escapade, we can have 2 spacecraft simultaneously cause and effect at the same time. And so that's the breakthrough that Escapade is going to provide us in understanding the processes by which the atmosphere is stripped away.
And once we understand that, I mean, how does that affect us here back on Earth or future Mars missions?
Right. So it's important for a couple of reasons. One, I think we're just curious as to how planets evolve in general. Like over the billions of years, planets, they change their atmospheric composition. They're more volcanically active, and that can affect the atmosphere too. And so this is an important piece, isn't the only piece, of course, but it's an important piece of the puzzle of Mars climate evolution. And that's interesting just because we love to explore as humans. But it's also important because space weather can have a practical effect on robotic spacecraft that we send to Mars future, and also humans when they explore Mars. This is important for a couple of different reasons. One, a big space weather event, what's often called an interplanetary shock or a coronal mass ejection, when the sun belches out a couple billion tons of hot plasma, often at high speed, high density. As that shock expands through the solar system, it accelerates particles to really high energies, high enough energies that they can go right through a spacesuit and cause astronaut health problems.
Right.
And so the radiation on the surface of Mars, when you get a big enough coronal mass ejection, you can get 100 days worth of radiation in one day. This happened last year. Wow. This happened last year, June 6th, 2024. The usual background level of radiation was increased by a factor of 100 for that day when that happened. And so if you're an astronaut on the surface of Mars, you don't want to be out away from your radiation shelter when that happens. And so Escapade's measurements are going to enable us to better forecast those radiation hazards. There's another reason too why Escapade's important, because we're also going to be studying the ionosphere. So this is a layer of gas in the upper atmosphere that's ionized. And that's important because that layer, it distorts radio signals as they pass through it. And understanding the variability and the structure of that ionosphere will help us to correct for those distortions.
For communication.
Communication, but also for navigation, because there's going to want to be GPS on Mars eventually. And understanding how the ionosphere distorts the GPS signals will enable astronauts to know better where they are. All these things are taken into account on Earth. It's all behind the scenes. So your phone doesn't have to show you how they're correcting for it, but that's all behind the scenes on Earth. we want to be able to do that same error correction on Mars, and Escapade will help us understand the ionosphere.
It's really cool to know that we're thinking about these future problems now.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that are happening in the future, I mean, Escapade is not going to be making it actually to Mars. The spacecrafts aren't going to be there for at least 2027.
That's right indeed, yeah.
So what happens once Escapade deploys?
Yeah.
Kind of tell me more about the trajectory.
Okay, well, so after it deploys, first of all, there's a few important checkouts we have to do. The first thing is we got to deploy the solar panels and we got to get it to speak to us. And so actually, the viewers will be interested to know that we may not hear from the spacecraft for up to 3 hours after launch. And that is by design.
Okay.
Because we have 2 antennas, one on either side of the spacecraft, and they only work one at a time. And we don't know which one necessarily is going to be pointed towards Earth initially. So if the one that turns on first happens to be pointed away from Earth, we got to wait 2 hours until it decides, oh, I'm not hearing from Earth, and it switches over to the other one. So no one should panic if we don't hear from it within that first hour. But once we know that we have signal, we're hearing from it, and we know the solar panels are deployed and they're facing the sun, so that's called power positive. So it's a safe and a stable mode. Then we can relax, and then we can start focusing on the longer term aspects of the mission. And you mentioned trajectory. So yes, we are taking quite an unusual path to Mars. We are going to spend about a year in a very large Earth orbit, fairly gravitationally bound to the Earth. We're calling this the loitering phase. It's in the shape of a kidney bean. It kind of goes like this. And next November 2026, we're going to come back to Earth after going more than 2 million miles away. We're going to come back to only 600 kilometers above the surface. We're going to use Earth's gravity and burn our engines at that point, taking advantage of Earth's gravity to slingshot ourselves toward Mars. Because early November next year is when the interplanetary window opens for a transit from Earth to Mars. So all Mars missions before us have had to wait until this narrow 3 or 4 week window every 25 months. We're launching halfway between these 2 windows, so we're just going to kind of hang out in near Earth space until it's time to go to Mars. And this has never been done before. And this is really, really exciting because this actually opens up the possibility in the future. If humans want to actually settle Mars, we're going to have to send hundreds, maybe even thousands of ships to Mars within that 2 or 3 or 4 week window. And there aren't enough launch pads on Earth to reliably do that just within that window. So we could launch them over the course of a whole year, maybe, and we could like sort of queue them up, so that they're kind of lined up so they can go when that window opens. And so this is hopefully going to pioneer a way to essentially enable interplanetary settlement in the distant future. Who knows?
And once the mission actually starts, how long is the mission going to be going on?
So, so I mentioned November 2026. That's when we start our interplanetary cruise. We spend 10 months in that cruise to Mars, doing little trajectory correction maneuvers all the time, little tiny engine burns to like just, barely tweak our path so that we can intercept Mars in early September 2027. And that's when we got to do another big engine burn to be captured by Mars's gravity. And that's when we will be in Mars orbit. Then we spend another 7-8 months-ish adjusting the orbits.
Wow.
So first of all, lowering the orbits, then adjusting the orbits. And this is important because Escapade is doing another thing that's never been done before, which is the first ever formation flying around another planet other than the Earth or
a lot of firsts on this
the
one.
Moon. It's kind of like pearls on a string. Both spacecraft have to get into the same orbit. And it takes a while to adjust both orbits to make that happen. And also in the middle of that, there's what we call solar conjunction, where the sun gets in the way between Earth and Mars, and we can't talk to it for a whole month. So we kind of just have to chill out, go into safe mode, and just wait. And so this is the reason why it's going to take us an additional 7 months after we get to Mars before we can start the science mission in spring 2028. And then we have an 11-month science mission, and that's also in...
So this is going to take us all the way into 2029.
Yes, exactly, yeah. It's, I think, May 2029 is the nominal end of the science mission. And I mentioned the 2 spacecraft are going to be the pearls on a string. We do that for the first 6 months. And that's important because we want to know how the upper atmosphere of Mars is changing minute to minute. So in the past, with only single orbiter missions, we've had to wait 4 or 5 hours to see how things have changed. And by that point, the planet's turned a quarter rotation, things are different. We don't know how anything changes on short timescales at all on Mars. Escapade is going to pass through the same part of the upper atmosphere twice in a quick succession, so 2 minutes to 30 minutes apart, to see how it changes on those short time scales. Once we're done with that, then we raise one orbit, we lower the other orbit, and then the two orbits are different, and they start precessing. This is a word for the orbital planes moving with respect to each other.
Okay.
And this allows the two spacecraft to get much further apart from each other to make those simultaneous cause and effect measurements that I mentioned earlier, to understand the real-time response of the upper atmosphere to the space weather events.
And so, with all that, understanding how Escapade works, knowing that this mission is going into 2029, how do you feel today?
I feel excited. I feel a little anxious, as everyone does on launch day, but I am super, super excited. I'm proud of everyone who worked on Escapade at Blue Origin, at Rocket Lab, at Berkeley, at Embry-Riddle, all of our partners. Advanced Space LLC, they were the ones who did most of the work to design this innovative path to Mars as well. And so I'm just so proud of the whole team. Probably thousands of people have worked on bits of it up to this point. And we're so excited to reach this day, the culmination of so much effort and the beginning of the next chapter.
And the last question I have for you is something I ask everyone, and that is there anything else you want to add or say or mention that I didn't ask about that you think is important to this interview?
So Escapade is a very low-cost mission. Escapade is only about 1/10 of the typical cost of a NASA planetary mission. This is a radical experiment by NASA in seeing whether they can accept slightly higher risk and less oversight in exchange for a much lower cost. And the idea being that overall you get way more science per dollar if you do this. And
we call it bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck, science for your dollar. And it's because we are embracing, as I said, a lighter sort of a touch by NASA. We're using more commercial off-the-shelf parts. There are fewer reviews. There are fewer sort of requirements. NASA's kind of letting us run a little more than they would typically. Okay. And NASA's oversight is often what drives a lot of cost. That's great, but it does come at a cost. And so this is hopefully a new way of doing at least a fraction of NASA's science portfolio with this higher risk, lower cost approach.
It's very exciting to have you here, to be able to interview you.
This is an exceptional sight. Just watching pieces of other rockets being put together and knowing that our booster, our upper stage.
It was all built right here.
It was all built right here. The fairings, the payload adapter, it was all built right here, yeah.
Well, Rob, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Cheers, bye-bye.
So obviously a great interview and a great opportunity to be able to talk to Dr. Rob Lillis there. If you were just joining us, you are watching the webcast for NG-2. If you're looking at your screen, you might notice we have a new L time, which is L minus 28 minutes and about 30 seconds. Now, to keep you guys updated, we know that the weather is now clear. You're like, all right, that's some good news, right? Well, we have also learned that the launch team is looking into an issue with our ground support equipment at the pad. So we wanted to give you an update on that. And of course, we're going to keep monitoring everything happening around NG-2.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when you look at a rocket, you're like, oh, the rocket's going to go. There is a lot of engineering that also goes into the ground systems. That's the ground system of the pad. That is the ground systems for the telemetry and the communications. We need to be tracking the vehicle. But like out there on the pad, that pad actually is a feat of engineering in its own right. In fact, this Launch Complex 36, we were talking about it earlier in the webcast, it's been used as a launch complex for decades before us. But
great history.
Great history, but we basically cleared it out and built it back up again. The amount of power, data, propellants, all these lines that are going up there. You see the two towers, the one on the right will eventually have crew coming off of it. Slightly off the shot to the left, we've got the water tower. There you got a kind of a back out view so you can see a little bit more. There's a lot that goes on out there. We've got this huge, what we call our propellant farm. There's a lot that goes on out there. So we need that to also be working and working properly and in right conditions to keep the rocket ready to go as it ticks down. And then when we will turn, obviously, the show, if you will, over to the rocket. But in the meantime, there's a lot of work happening in the ground system. So if something is out of line, pressure, data, power, that then could translate down the line, down the pipes, literally, to the rocket, we have to check it out. So our team is on it. But we do have a little bit of time here to do so. But it looks like the weather might be clearing up. Like, you live here in Florida. This is wild. How do you put up with this?
Just wait 10 minutes. It just keeps on a constant rotation. But I will say, you know, it is great to see NG-2 on the pad, ready to go. You know what they say, if it's going to happen out there. And so right now, I'm going to toss it back over. Again, you are watching the webcast of NG-2. We're at L- 26 minutes before this historic launch. Well, if you take a look on your screen, we're at L- just under 24 minutes. And Ariane, you and I have the distinct pleasure of being joined today by our very own Eddie Seyfert. And Eddie is one of my favorite people to talk to about engines. Eddie knows all things engines, as do you.
Eddie.
Engines
to you
with
live.
Eddie. We're coming to you. Let's talk a little bit about our engines.
Hey, Tabitha. Hey, Ariane. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about our rocket engines, the liquid propulsion systems that, for me, are one of the highlights of today's show. So our BE-4 engines, which are manufactured in Kent, Washington, and in Huntsville, Alabama, they're tested at Launch Site 1 at our BE-4 engine test stand, as well as at the historic 4670 test stand. Now, I'm a former test guy, and these BE-4 engines are a medium performing variant of a high performance architecture, and the teams that test these rocket engines are just eking out more and more and more thrust, better ISP for these engines that serves our customers. So, like, for example, this year we delivered our 30th BE-4 engine to our customer, United Launch Alliance, and in the building that was behind me when this webcast started, we have multiple shipsets worth of BE-4 engines for New Glenn.
Eddie, do you feel like you have a particular love for one or the other, the BE-4 or the BE-3? I know you were out in West Texas for a long time. We do a testing of all of our engines really there, but do you have a favorite?
Well, no, it's impossible to have a favorite, right? They're all great engines. For example,
You can't say you love one of your babies more than the other, huh, Eddie?
No. Well, they're all great engines, right? BE-3U, which runs on liquid oxygen, liquid hydrogen, is an open expander cycle, right? Those two molecules come together and they create a lot of energy and steam. And you know, BE-3U originally started from the BE-3 engine that now has flown 36 successful times on New Shepard, but they baselined it at 160,000 pounds of thrust. When it first flew earlier this year in January, it flew at 174,000 pounds of thrust. And this team is kicking butt. They keep increasing those thrust levels, keeping the performance high, and really it's all about the upper stage when it comes to the payload.
And you see they're actually on the shot. We've got the two nozzles in the second stage of the BE-3U.
Oh, wow.
Those are huge nozzles. Eddie, do you want to talk about why those nozzles are so large on the BE-3Us? Why do we have to have such massive nozzles?
Right, so in the vacuum of space, these nozzles don't have the atmosphere to push back in them and crumple them when the exhaust is being exhausted at supersonic, so faster than the speed of sound velocities. And that extra nozzle just gives you more momentum and higher specific impulse, right? 30 to 40 seconds more specific impulse, right? The analogy I like to use is if I had a big red balloon here in front of me, it would have pressure inside of it as a chamber, like a pressure vessel, and I would be holding it by its nozzle. It's a very technical term. And if I let it go, the big red balloon would essentially fly away. So I'm not saying our rocket engines are big red balloons, but it's the analogy that I like to think of.
That's a good way.
At least
Eddie,
they're blue balloons.
yeah.
They're going to be balloons, Eddie.
They don't have to be
Come on.
red. They've been big blue
Sorry,
balloons.
big-
He also, I remember,
Yeah,
I went to
that's
one
right.
of his. He hosts these things here at Blue Origin where we can learn more about updates with different things happening with our engines. And he was explaining essentially the shower head method and how shower head is very similar to how an engine works. But Eddie, I think it's so great to be able to talk to him anytime about engines, and we're so grateful for him. Of course, he is out with our employees. The best viewing spot to see NG-2 take to the skies. You're looking at NG-2 right now on the pad, and in this moment, we're going to toss it back over to the rocket, because coming up here shortly, we have a very exciting go, no-go poll. So we're going to toss it over the rocket and kind of await that poll.
LV on count 1 with the go pull for final configurations and terminal count. Understand we are still pending GME final configurations and LVHD retraction, also pending weather. This is the go pull for final configs and terminal count. GC.
GC is go pending retraction of LVHD10.
LC1.
LC1 is no go pending day of launch PDI load.
Understand you are a go pending the load. LC2.
LC2 is go.
LSO.
Go.
OSM.
Go with the exception of weather.
RC.
Go.
ESR.
ESR go pending LVHD and PDI.
AC.
Go pending LVHD retraction.
Recovery.
Go.
GLI.
Go.
BMD.
Go.
GC, LC1, LC2. Perform final configurations for terminal count. Report when ready for terminal count gate checks.
LC2 copy.
This is RC and count 1.
GC copy.
Go ahead, RC.
A lot of potential sea surveillance violation with a cruise ship. We're still working on Coast Guard to make contact. I'll give you an update as soon as I have it.
LD copies.
So you just heard the go pull there. It seems like a conditional go according to the weather. So we are going to continue to our terminal count, and we're going to continue to also keep an eye on the weather. So lots of things that we are tracking at this moment in time.
I think we should note there just a second. So first of all, our launch director, Megan Lewis, that lady is a boss.
Yes.
She is fantastic. There's a lot of things to coordinate there, and you heard various teams giving their go, no go, and go pending. And obviously we have to track a lot, especially in these last 15 minutes. And her job in that room is to coordinate. You saw the people in the front room, but then there's also essentially what's like an engineering support room in the back.
Yeah.
So that they go off and they track things, they run things down and report back on making these clears. So they are go pending because they want to launch this rocket, and they think that there's still a chance here. So more drama.
Yeah, we're excited. This has been quite the show. As you are watching NG-2, we're at L-14 minutes, but in order to build a road to space for the benefit of Earth, we've got to radically reduce the cost of access to space by having our reusable rockets. So here's everything that you need to know about New Glenn.
The capability, the payload volume of New Glenn was all developed not only for today, but for the future. We have a first stage that is designed from the ground up to be operationally reusable. We have a second stage that is one of the largest upper stages to ever fly to space.
New Glenn being a reusable launch vehicle is so beneficial to future lunar missions. It's going to allow us to keep that cadence going, where we'll be able to launch multiple landers, multiple refueling flights over and over again, so that we can reduce the cost of access to the moon.
It is designed to be an incredibly resilient vehicle with a tremendous amount of mass to orbit capability. We can do anything from low Earth orbit missions where we're deploying a whole lot of small spacecraft to geostationary missions where we've got a large monolithic spacecraft.
We can do very large modules of future commercial space stations on a single launch. We can take dozens and up to 50 to 100 satellites per New Glenn mission. It is our avenue to significantly reduce the cost of access to space.
We've been working with a huge variety of customers, and they're really rethinking their business models because of what New Glenn unlocks for them.
New Glenn will be able to launch a lander to the moon in a single launch. That's an incredible capability that this one launch vehicle will be able to do. We built these landers specifically to fly with New Glenn. And that's what's so great about having the launch vehicle and the landers all part of Blue Origin, is that we work together.
It really is the infrastructure, the building block, the foundation of how Blue Origin will enable building a road to space.
We've got a number of programs we're working on like Blue Ring, which will benefit national security customers and other customers, providing on-orbit maneuvering capabilities. We're working, of course, with our own internal teams to deliver new capabilities that Blue is bringing. But New Glenn is going to be delivering all kinds of spacecraft today, all kinds of new systems, all kinds of capabilities. And New Glenn is the vehicle that can take NASA or anyone, anywhere in the solar system.
We foundationally developed New Glenn for what we think space is going to look like 50 to 100 years from now.
It will allow us to go to the moon, to asteroids and other planetary objects, and use those resources to learn how to live off the land in space.
New Glenn is going to unlock so much potential that we don't even know about yet. We're laying that infrastructure so that the next generation can do amazing things in space.
All right, we are at L-minus 10 minutes and 34 seconds to go from New Glenn's second launch. And Tabitha, you recently had the chance to chat with our CEO, Dave Limp, about NG-2 and what this mission means for science, but also for Blue Origin.
I certainly did. It was so great to be able to sit down and actually talk with him. And I think you guys are going to be surprised to learn just how much of this moment has really been building up over time, and how even when he was a child, you know, Dave himself had an interest in space. Check it out. This is a really big moment for Blue Origin. Can you tell me how NG-2 compares to NG-1?
Yeah, I think NG-1 was obviously our first mission. There was lots to learn, and we did learn a lot, and unbelievably successful in that we made our goal, which was to get to orbit. This time we're going to be a little bit more ambitious, and we want to not only get to orbit, but we have our first paying customer this time with Escapade, and get them off to Mars. That's the first part of our goal, and then the second part of the goal is to land the booster out on Jacqueline. And if we don't, we have more over here in the factory that we're building, but we're going to give it our best shot.
Never tell me the odds is pretty fitting for this booster. You know, we are taking our second attempt at landing it for the first time. How are you going to feel if we land it?
Well, I certainly will not channel my inner C-3PO. I will be very ecstatic. I'll be on pins and needles up to that point, but it would be a huge achievement for the team and for Blue. I think that we have a good chance, but if we don't, like I said, we can build more, but I will be over the moon if it happens.
Now, New Glenn is obviously just one of the many systems we have here, right? We have New Shepard, we have Lunar, we have in-space systems. How are all of those organizations really working together to further our ultimate goals?
Yeah, I think each component of what we do has a piece of trying to get millions of people to work and live in space, and they all have their individual. But as it relates to this particular mission, a huge amount of people have put work into it. Obviously, our engines team in building both the engines for the booster, the BE-4s, and the BE-3Us for the upper stage. We also have a huge amount of work by the obviously New Glenn team building this vehicle, but also New Shepard has been a pathfinder. So all our avionics fly on New Shepard first, so that we can get a sense of what's going on there and get a sense what it's like to have flight-ready hardware. And so it takes a whole team, and it's a very big cross-functional effort across Blue.
We have more than 10,000 employees here that are very excited about this moment. I'm one of them. What is your message to those who are going to be watching our webcast and be watching NG-2 take to the skies?
Well, I think everybody will be a little bit on pins and needles, I'm sure. But I would say that this is a culmination of a lot of work from a lot of teams. It's not the end point of our journey. Obviously, we have a lot more rockets to make and a lot more customers to make happy as we move forward. But to the extent we're successful here, I hope everybody at Team Blue takes a pause, smiles a bit, celebrates, because it'll be a great achievement for us. And we'll take that deep breath. We'll sort of embrace the moment and then move on, because we have a lot of customers waiting for us to succeed. And there's nothing that makes you happier in business and in your life when you see the smile on customers' faces.
Did you ever think that you would be doing something like this in your career when you're watching your rockets launch? No?
No, not in a million years. I was very happy making Fire TVs and Echoes, but it is a boyhood dream, and so to be able to have it, I kind of pinch myself every day, and just amazed that I get to wake up and help this and lead this amazing team of people build incredible technology like New Glenn.
I mean, and a reference to that, one of the first things they ask you when you come onto Blue Origin is, what is your first memory of space? What is your first memory of space?
Yeah, I have a lot of pictures. It turned out my third, fourth, and fifth birthday, I have these old Polaroids of the cake, and they all have rockets on it. I was enamored with rockets as a kid, and never took the path where I thought I'd be running a rocket or a rocket company, but it turns out that it was very early in my life that I had a lot of love for it.
And we're so grateful to have you here at the helm. Dave, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And it was such a great interview to have a moment to sit down with our CEO and talk with him. If you are just tuning in, this is the launch of NG-2. We are at L minus under 6 minutes, and we have to tell you guys, right now we are tracking a cruise ship that is in the area and closely tracking weather, as we heard in the go poll. But my understanding is that by the time it comes to our moment of launch, that cruise ship should be out of the way. But we're still keeping our eyes on that weather, Ariane.
Absolutely. But with that, we're under 6 minutes to go. Let's go out to Eddie, because you realize we're about 5 minutes to go from the launch. Eddie, how's everybody feeling out there?
Yeah, it is hype out here. We are so excited to be at less than 5 minutes before launch. We're excited to be here.
Eddie, is that guy on a chicken? A rooster?
Yeah, we got Rooster, and the flag. Everybody say hi to Rooster. An Escapade, and this is the team that's launching the rocket today. They helped build it.
Amazing. They are absolutely psyched. And what we're waiting for here is a go, no go, a final go, no go. We're bringing this down to the minute on this one. We want to launch before our window, so we're waiting on the team to determine if that's way to go.
Oh, Eddie. Let's go blue. Let's go blue. Thank you so much. We are hyped. They are hyped. Since we are at essentially L minus 4 minutes, let's go ahead and toss it back over to the rocket right now. All right, friends, we appreciate you patiently waiting. So I have an update for you. Today's NG-2 launch is scrubbed due to weather, specifically the cumulus cloud rule. We're reviewing opportunities for our next launch attempt based on forecasted weather. I know we were all really excited to watch NG-2 take to the skies today. We came down to the wire, and then there you have it. But my name is Tabitha Lipkin. This is Ariane Cornell. We're going to keep you guys posted and updated with all the information that we get as it becomes available to us. That